Captain's Log, Episode 15, Dr. Biernerd and Mr. Bulk, or That's Incredulous Bulk. Trust me, that last part is a lot funnier when you read it, or if you're old enough to get the reference. This week's episode of the Beervengers podcast is sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, located at 3511 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Now featuring, for an increasingly limited time, the 2020 Goose Island Bourbon County brand stouts. They've still got a few. They're really running low, so don't say you weren't warned. It's been a rough week, fellow Beervengers. In fact, I've been told that many of you who initially planned on a dry January have seriously reconsidered. If so, Astoria Beer and Cheese has many remedies, including Three Floyd's People Power High Tea. Portions of all sales of People Power beer are donated to the American Civil Liberties Union. Enjoy the eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. Today, reporting from our field office in Dayton, Ohio, it's Dr. Bruce Biernerd, a.k.a. the Incredulous Bulk. There's never a dull moment in today's show, where we explore the doctor's origin story, as well as taking a deep dive into beer crawl theory. Dr. Biernerd is the founder of the Dayton Golden Mile Beer Crawl, an annual event that, in 2020, was forced to distance over many miles in multiple and varied locations and in the world of social media. The only upside was that, rather than the standard 12 hours on one day, this one stretched across 2 months. In honor of this annual event, and in hope that it can soon return to its traditional form, I'd like to recite the immortal words of Charles Bukowski. We are here to drink beer. We are here to kill war. We are here to laugh at the odds and live our lives so well that death will tremble to take us. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 15, Dr. Biernerd and Mr. Bulk, or That's Incredulous Bulk.
Well, we're the Beervengers, Beervengers, Beervengers. We're the Beervengers.
Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens, I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in Manhattan Town, New York City, I am Hophead Huck, a.k.a. I'm Hophead Huck. Hophead Huck.
Oh, and coming to you from an undisclosed location in the County of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder!
And from my secret basement lab in Dayton, Ohio, I am Dr. Bruce Biernerd, occasionally the Incredulous Bulk.
And we are...
The
Beervengers. We finished it off well together on that one.
Yeah, it didn't sound too artificially elongated, as it sometimes does. No, I think it was perfect. Better each time. Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. As you notice, we have yet another new guest Beervenger with us today.
I'm waving to the radio.
Dr. Bruce Biernerd, a.k.a. the Incredulous Bulk. Wonderful to have you here, IB, or
Thanks.
Doctor. Or Bruce.
Thanks so much. Well, I was going to drop the doctor as pretentious, and then people picked on Dr. Biden for it. I'm like, no, I'll keep it. It's fictional. I can have it if I want it.
Yes, absolutely.
You earned it.
You earned it because you gave it to yourself.
Absolutely.
That's what matters.
All right, we've got a great show coming up for you, everyone. We have we have lots of beers to talk about. We have to see how our year has gone thus far, and we're gonna tell you a lot about. We're gonna explore the theory of beer crawling, bar crawling. Well, I guess they're called bar crawls, but you crawl to get the beer. In our case, the beer crawls, I guess. Anyway,
Definitely beer crawls, yeah.
And you're going to learn all about our special guest. But before we do any of that, I think it's time for the pours.
I'm ready. Should I go?
Well, here's the thing.
What?
Huck?
I never get to go first.
I know, but it would be rude would be rude if we didn't let our guest go first.
Well,
You might have a point, Huck.
yeah, he might get angry, and
I
we
know.
won't like
And
him.
we don't
when he's
want
angry.
that.
Now, we might like him when he's thirsty.
Yes.
You might. I hope so. All right, then. This is I'm doing all local favorites this time from the Dayton area.
Excellent.
This is the Violet Perception from Branch and Bone.
Oh, very good.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's nice.
So that, and I know somebody on the show earlier, not a very good pour on my part, I apologize. Somebody on the show earlier has also had a brew with the peas blossom or pea blossom coloring.
That
That's
is
nice. Yes,
gorgeous.
that's a pronounced head.
That well, that's my sloppy pour. I'm sorry.
Well, but it's also
I'll get better.
it's such a white head. It doesn't really carry much of the color up.
I'm
in
picking
there,
up
which
some
is-
blue in there, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is a violet.
Oh,
gosh,
look
the
at that.
Lighting is not.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
I should backlight it for you. See if we can do that.
I do perceive it to be somewhat violent.
Oh, look at
there we
that.
go.
Oh, there we go. That's it.
Purple
And
beer.
yeah, you're right. It does carry up into the head a little bit, Huck.
But it's a Berliner Weiss, lime Berliner Weiss with there's a little flavor that comes from the peas blossom as well. It's a beautiful aromatic. So it's sort of a counterpoint to the hop. And I didn't want to be completely redundant with the captain's tastes tonight. Ordinarily, I'm very malty forward, but this is a big favorite, and they happen to have it back on. So grabbed a crowler.
Can you tell us the name of the brewery again, please?
Branch and Bone.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should also mention that the Bulk is our first visitor from Ohio, and the fact that his undisclosed location is his actual undisclosed location. We're gonna know a lot of interesting breweries we don't know about tonight. And I see Huck. I'm sorry we denied you earlier. I
That's
think we should
okay.
let you have your beer.
That would be
I don't mind.
polite, Captain.
Well, you know what? I've after last week's show, we did a year-end wrap-up, and it kind of showed me that I sort of only drink beer from about 16 to 17 breweries. And, you know, I figured this being a new year that I would continue that tradition. I have this lovely Schwartz beer from Evil Twin NYC, freshly canned. Greenhouse black lager brewed with Hersbrucker hops, conditioned on American oak fodder.
Ooh,
All right.
that odor again.
Fodder.
So it should be a nice dark lager.
Nice.
Oh,
Oh,
very
and
great.
it definitely delivers. My goodness. Look at that. That dark color is great. Also nice brown foam on the top.
Look at that.
Mmm. Oh, so
Lovely.
beautiful.
They're the best can art.
Now
They really do.
They always have photographs, right? But on these lagers, they do. I think what is a microscopic photograph of the fermentation process.
Oh, cool.
I believe that is what this is a picture of.
Good
And
job.
those photographs are specifically unique to the Evil Twin NYC
Correct.
versions.
Correct.
That's you can.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Captain, go ahead.
Good
Or do you want me to go?
Are you sure? I mean, I feel it would be polite to let you go next.
Well, fair. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Is our continued expansion around the world. I decided to go a little bit West Coast for a seasonal production from our friends over at Hopworks Urban Brewery, which is an Oregon-based brewery. I've got their Abominable Winter Ale, which I'm very excited about. There you can see
Oh, all right.
there. Yep. So it is a lovely kind of caramelly thing with a nice 3 different hop mixes in there and a bold 7.3%. So, and they're using black malt. So I'm excited to see how this turns out.
Okay, we've definitely got a darker beer here, more of an
Yeah.
amber color from my angle, but you might have a better view at it.
Yeah, it's
There.
definitely got that amber. It's also got a nice creamy head. So I'm very excited about this one. I think it's, and I can absolutely
Well,
smell the
that's
nice,
beautiful.
like spicy, citrusy hop situation
a
happening.
nice caramel color there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one.
All right. So my next one is from our sponsor, Astoria Beer and Cheese at 3511 Ditmars. And this is another in our series of sponsored pours.
Sponsored pour.
And let me see what I have here. It is from the Night Shift Brewing, which I looked on their website today, and they seem to be known mostly for lagers and IPAs.
Mhm.
But this is an oatmeal stout
Oh,
called Bennington.
Bennington, I've heard of that, yeah.
yeah.
Yes, it is. Let's see. It's oatmeal stout with maple syrup and Dutch processed cocoa. I think this is about a 7.3% as well.
Okay.
And they are from Everett, Massachusetts.
That is correct.
Yes. Well loved Massachusetts brewery too.
Yeah.
Oh, can you bring that up a little bit more so we can see it, Cap? Oh,
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for with you. It's got that dark, rich color, creamy head. Can't see through it at all.
Oh, real caramely
Bring it
head there
around here
too.
so we can make sure we get the logo of our sponsor.
Very nice.
Yeah. There we are. Bennington. There we are. All right. I think we all have beers in our hands. So cheers, gentlemen.
Oh, we already did. We've done it. That was fast.
Cheers.
That's
Cheers.
Indeed.
Oh, that's really nice. It's funny. I don't drink a whole lot of maple. I didn't think I drank a whole lot of maple beers, but I seem to be getting more and more of them, and it's really forward in that, and I like it.
Yeah, this is interesting. You know, I had the Grimm black lager last week.
Right.
And this is very different. This has a bit of a more of a almost like a Baltic porter kind of vibe, like a light Baltic porter. The ABV is fairly low, 4.75. But it's very drinkable. It's got a sweetness to it too. It's complex. It's complex, folks.
As it should be.
It's always nice if it's sweet, but not especially.
I'm actually getting fruity notes on the finish, which is really interesting. Maybe that's from that oak, from the fodder.
The fodder, everyone's
Maybe that
favorite.
Fodder.
Good old fodder.
Well, mine is also wildly fruity, especially, for it's got, 3 different kinds of hops. It definitely is hitting us with that like citrusy, caramelly complex thing and a much darker malt. But the very end finish is nice and sweet and a little bit fruity. But the nose on this thing is wildly intense. Like it is just shooting citrus up at me the whole time. And it balances out nicely with the caramel malt, that like roasty toastiness in there. This is a great wintertime beverage. Like I could drink a lot of these to keep myself nice and warm. And at 7.3%, I'm probably gonna get toasted too.
Now, Bruce, that Berliner Weiss you had there, you mentioned earlier. I think you were the one you were comparing it to was Huck earlier had 2 tickets to pellet ice. We're talking about like those
Yes,
colored
Blue beer,
beer.
which
Well,
apparently
now I see-
is an Eddie Money reference.
Yes,
Can you believe it?
What?
I remember the song very well. But it looks like it's gotten. Is it possible that that's gotten darker since you poured it?
I think just not having the presence of the head in
Okay.
the shot. It's, from my point of view, because I'm getting backlight from the front light, it's very much a deep violet. I could light it up again. I want to talk a little bit about the flavor, though, of course, because that's mostly why I have beers. It is the lime is very prominent. That's the first note you get, and it's lovely. It's like fresh squeezed lime juice, like a lime cocktail, like a Ricky, goes right over top of that. Berliner Weisse is not a really punchy flavor. It just plays very nicely together. But the nose is where the flower comes, because that peas blossom in aroma is a bit like violet in candy, like violet flavor. But it's very, very light, and it's not in the glass, which I think is a great combination, because I inhale it and it's present and then it goes away. So there's none of that sachet I'm eating a potpourri sensation at all. So,
Well, these Hersbrucker hops that are used in this black lager, it's a German hop, so it's traditionally used in lagers, but it's supposed to have a fruity, spicy, floral character. So that's where that fruitiness on the finish comes from. I have spoken.
Yeah, it's taken me a while to come around to fruit beers, because the first fruit beers, when they first came out, a lot of them were like a little more cloying and there were artificial flavors. But in recent, all the fruit beers I've had like in the last 5, 6, 7 years, they have that really nice. They're very natural and they have that nice crisp finish to them.
Yeah, that's lovely. Well, speaking of hops, one of the things that I wanted to sort of, as I was looking at this cool beer from Hopworks, and I've heard about these guys, they got a system in Oregon. They're up in Vancouver as well. So they're sort of bi-coastal. They got a 20 barrel system here in the States and 7 barrels up there. But I was looking at the side of the can, and we've been talking a lot about breweries sort of doing good stuff. So these guys are a certified B Corporation, which is cool. So they've got a social mission, 1% for the planet. And then they also are Salmon Safe certified. And we've been talking about
Wow.
bird-based beers, but this is like a very Northeast thing. So I dug into it, and it is a way of producing specifically around hops that make sure that the watersheds where salmon are swimming are well protected.
How about that?
Which I'll be honest, that was a brand new one for me, but I thought it was very cool. And since we've talked about birds and beer and all sorts of other things, I thought it was fun to rep for the salmon during this nice spicy ale.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right.
This one I'm finding it's like I said, it's nice to have a 7.3 because it definitely has a kick to it, but it's not overwhelming. It's not quite as light bodied as a Schwartz beer, but definitely it's just like has that phrase we can't escape, that drinkable thing. It's just like it's very much there, but it's light bodied enough to say like, not gonna. You don't have to pay that much attention to me. Like all the good flavors are there. It's got the chocolate. It's got the maple. It's interesting. This brewery, like I said, I looked on their website today and I saw that most of the stuff that they do regularly are lagers and IPAs and some seasonal Berliner Weisses, and they didn't even have any of these ones listed. But I looked on Untapped, and I did have a stout from them about 3 years ago. It was a coffee one because they actually roast coffee there also. And it was called Awake. And I gave that one 4.25 stars. So it's nice to see them come back around.
I know they make a peanut butter porter that's supposed to be pretty good, but I haven't had it. And it has like E.T. and Elliot riding over the moon. I don't know what they're... Oh, like Reese's Pieces, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's the reference, yeah.
It's got to be it.
Gotta be.
Now, Bruce, remind me of the brewery that yours is from again. Say it again for me.
Branch and Bone.
Branch and Bone.
Branch and
Yes,
Bone.
okay. Who is that? Of course, it's me.
Took you a moment to respond to it.
I know.
Yeah, sorry,
Bruce?
sorry.
Doctor? He prefers to be called
of course,
Doctor.
Doctor always, yes. Yeah. So I'll show the logo is on the crowler. Of course,
of course.
there's no can art, but Branch and Bone Artisan Ales. They are one of our, they're relatively new, I think only 2, maybe 3 years old, and actually walking distance from the Secret Basement Lab. And
That's nice.
I've been there, haven't I?
You have, yes, briefly, as of so many. In fact, all but one of the breweries in the city of Dayton proper you've been to.
Which one haven't I been to?
Carillon.
Actually, I have been there.
Oh, okay.
Just not with you.
It's not me, right? That's right. Yeah. Sorry, not to my knowledge. You're allowed. You can go to any brewery you
that's
want.
it was about 4 years ago. Some wonderful pictures from there. So I think I need to put something in context for people who are listening to all of this. Bulk and I actually we knew each other in high school and early college, and we're both from the Dayton, Ohio area, or at least that's where I grew up. I've been on a few crawls with him in Dayton, and he's done a wonderful job introducing me to the Dayton beer scene when I've been there. Huck has also been very instrumental in organizing a lot of the crawls we've been on as Beervengers here in New York. And so I thought it'd be really interesting. We spent a little time just talking about crawls we've been on and how to make a good crawl and things. Oh, I think we have a theme coming up.
Crawl theory. How do you crawl? Where do you go? What do you drink? Crawl theory.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Crawl theory.
That was beautiful.
This is going to be, they're going to start teaching this at colleges now. Crawl theory.
Yes.
That's the gig I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What is the crawl theory? I think to me, the most important thing in crawl theory is geography.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
Proximity between the breweries. There
Do you have
go.
any?
That's my whole theory.
Well, yeah, but do you have any like rules of or sort of like rules of thumb to think about? Because there's also things like I often think that the crawls I've been on that have been organized by other folks, because I do not really build my own crawls. There's usually a food consideration. There's like a blocks consideration. There's all sorts of interesting things that go into it.
That's fair. Well, I used to base my crawls on happy hours. Like where can we drink the most and spend the least money? Started with my the day I left the Old Town, my last day at Old Town. I don't know if I knew you guys. I knew the captain at the time. I'm sure you were there for that crawl. In fact, what was great about it was my boss knew it was my last day, and I worked at this place for 14 years, so it was a big deal. He gave me I think he gave me $1,000 for myself, and then he gave me another $200 for the crawl. I was like, wow, okay. I was like, oh, why did I quit? So we had a good time on that crawl, boy. But we went to 4 places. And the 5th place was a karaoke bar, and I couldn't stay. I was just like, I couldn't put sentences together.
That's
bad.
The best time. I think
Old Town Tavern is a great old bar. It's one of the real classic New York bars.
That's right.
In the Union Square area. But you were saying, Doctor.
Oh, I like to have, if I'm planning a crawl in advance, like almost any kind of big event, if you're hoping for a lot of people, a theme helps me keep my act together. Although I don't want to overdo it, we don't necessarily dress up necessarily, but if it's the one I've done regularly is based on the World's End, so it's 12 pubs, 12 pints. One day, so everybody's got to have worthy beer, and got to have 12 within walking distance, and then we plan in some food opportunities, make sure it's not all tap rooms and pretzels, in that sort of thing. But the other favorite kind though is the totally spontaneous, like the British pub crawl, like you're out with a couple of friends, and then 2 more walk into the same bar, and you say, well, let's go over there, and do that. Hopefully those are usually shorter, probably 4 or 5.
Now I've been on your Dayton Golden Mile tour crawl twice, only once all the way through, but first one I think I made it through like 8 or 9 of them, or maybe 7 at least. I don't know. It's a blur. But yeah, I think I'd like to hear again your story about how that all came to be.
Oh, that was we were my family and I were watching The World's End. And my son, Leo, who was 17 at the time, credits are rolling. He said, Dad, you could do that in Dayton. We start counting on the fingers. Yes, we need one more brewery to open that's scheduled for this year. And we would have 12 stops that would be worth going to.
Wow.
And it's about a 2-mile walking course.
That's fantastic.
And then a few days later, I mentioned it, that I'd just seen The World's End, to another friend, and he said, I wonder if you could do that locally. Like, okay, now it's a thing. So we put it together and actually contacted the venues. It's been really terrific how they responded. We don't ask for sponsorship or anything. We just kind of warn them, they're going to bring a bunch of people in. You might want to be ready. And just kind of hang out. It's that sort of theme. So over the time, people have incorporated movie references. Somebody will shout, "Let's boo boo" at some point to move on. There's a opening invocation from Charles Bukowski. We are here to drink beer, and kind of accrued some tradition. I'm pretty pleased with it overall. I been able to hand off a lot of the. Well, this year was going to be the first one that I wouldn't be the face of it. But then, given the practicality, we decided going virtual, we'll keep at least one common factor. But it's, without being an organization, it's grown pretty well. People like it, and I'm very proud we were able to do it.
How many?
Yeah, I really like the way you did it this year. I think I made it. Was I the only non-local participant in that?
Yes, I think we had some like Ohio, and I think somebody in Lexington maybe, but all people who would ordinarily be physically present. So, well, of course, you have been physically present as well, but the only one who lives in such a place that just coming for the event is maybe not likely.
Yes, Huck.
How often have we? How many often have we done the Golden Mile now? It's not the mile, the Golden Road.
The Golden Mile. Yeah,
Golden Mile. Yes.
This was the 6th.
Fantastic!
If you count this year,
yeah, we're gonna count it because we have to have the the annual in there. So
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so great. Yeah, you can't even do that here because there's no way. And there's a couple of neighborhoods where there's Long Island City where you could do it,
right?
And maybe Gowanus where there's 4 or 5, but
Yep.
12 breweries. That's fantastic.
Well, I do have to be fair that not all of them are breweries.
Okay.
They're all worthy beer locations.
I got you.
So things like Astoria Beer and Cheese, where I have been. Oh my gosh, I remember most of that. It was wonderful.
Oh, I meant to look up that date too. Yeah, it was their second or third anniversary. I have a picture of us there.
So we have venues along that line in there, and it's only gotten better as time has gone. Last year, 2019, was the first year that half are breweries.
Yeah.
So there are actually 6
great.
breweries within walking distance drinking their own beer.
And how can one participate? Is there an initiation process?
Yeah, you show up and look vaguely at like the bunch of people that are standing around waiting to start walking. That's it.
Love it.
There's a Facebook group that sponsors it, so I can pass that out. Golden Mile of Dayton. It's probably findable by searching.
Excellent.
And they join the group, and then the notices of the events come to the group.
That's great. Well, a lot of the crawls that we've done have been based on these coupon books that we've gotten.
Yes.
So when we get we've gotten the Brooklyn, it was called originally.
Yes.
Brooklyn beer book. And the idea was one beer, you have a coupon for one beer for every bar. And there was 30 bars. So it's a $30 thing. So it's a good deal. And so as soon as I get the book, I would start making a map and draw them out. And I would have a little codes, like a B meant it was a brewery. C meant they would have a cider on tap for Cider Girl. And there was other...
you used to note where we could get food too.
Oh, yes.
I remember you generally, I recall, if I remember, there seemed to be a trend of like the third location tended to be a place where we could like eat a sandwich.
You want to make sure someplace has food. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
And another thing I always remembered was that if there was going to be any kind of significant travel between one and the other, put those ones early in the crawl.
Right. You go to the furthest one away. We've done that a couple times where then we'd have a 10 to 12 minute walk to the other places that are closer to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're doing a 4 to 5 pub crawl, make sure the last 2 to 3 are relatively close together.
Yes.
And we've done that in the wrong way as well.
Yeah.
A couple of times.
Sadly, yes.
Where we've done the 3 places and it's like, I know a place in West Soho. The captain and I went on our own crawl one time in downtown Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. We had a long... Yeah, that's right. That last place we went to when we went to like... What was it? Brewpub 5 or Gastro? What was the 508
508 Gastro Brewery.
Oh, I remember
it's
that.
currently the Fifth Hammer Brewers. That was their previous incarnation. Chris Kuzman.
We had a long walk to that place, and that was the last
brewer.
one of the night. Yeah.
And so we met him that night too.
Okay.
Chris Kuzma, the brewer. And he's like, oh yeah, I got. It was such a small place, and he's like, oh yeah, I got the tanks downstairs, and it was really good beer. But we walked out of there. I was lost. I was just like, just a mess. But that's what happens.
Yes,
That's the sign of a good crawl, right?
And one of the advantages to doing a crawl in New York City when we can is that we all get around on the train here, so there's less concern. I know that Doctor, you often on your crawls you would mention in the things saying like have it worked out, get a cab, have someone pick you up, because I went on 2 of your crawls, and I think the second one I went on where it was like we went there together. My dad went to like the first 2, and then he picked me up at the end of the evening. Had a beer with us there.
Although I have formally finished all of them so far, I only walked home from one.
All right.
It's like, okay, I can. Now I know that. At least I could 5 years ago. Don't ask me now. But it's unnecessary demonstrations of stamina, I think.
One way you guys have both inspired me in like when I'm trying to organize crawls as well is like, well, because Huck, your crawls, the maps were always like, I felt like we'd always get something hand drawn.
Yes, always was hand drawn.
Sketch it out, and then you'd like email a picture of it.
Yeah, I'd have sections like the Long Island City, and then the Astoria, or then we can go to Ridgewood, or we can go to Cobble Hill, like whatever in the neighborhood. And it wouldn't be an accurate map. It's more like the subway map, where it's the brewers are a lot bigger.
Of it.
Yeah.
And I wound up moving it a little more digital, because then I get the beer book. There'd be like 30 beers in it, and I would immediately go to Google Maps and like create a list specifically to like this is the Queen's Beer Book or this is the Brooklyn Beer Book, and I will favorite all of them so that way they're highlighted on the map.
Yes.
So I can look at the map and say, okay, like what's close together, what looks close together, and what's also cool about that is then once you're going on it, anytime you look at that list on your phone, the first one on the list will be the one that's geographically closest. They organize it in that way.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm not really sure which bar I'm closest to. So do I know near here? How close is it? Can we get there? So that's kind of a fun way to sometimes do slightly on the fly.
Yeah.
Beer crawls.
And crawling is a great way to go out with friends because you say, okay, let's meet at this place and we're going to stay there the whole night. That can be fun, of course. But you start to your body gets stagnant. You know, if you say, okay, we're going to go to this bar that's 5 blocks away, that gets your energy going again. When you arrive to the next place, you're ready to have another drink. So I think it's a great way to go out with friends for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. The first crawl I was able to go on to was, it was one of those things where I was in town. I'd been wanting to go to them, but there were always ones where I felt like I can't really take the time off of work to fly to Dayton and go on a crawl. And in 2017, my mother had just passed away, and I flew there for the funeral. And so doing stuff with family all week, not neglecting any of that. In fact, I think the funeral was probably on a Friday, and I just checked in with everyone. It was like, is it okay if I go hang out and drink for a little while tomorrow? And so my girlfriend who was there with me, the Belgian, make sure I say the right one, the Belgian that you know what she is. Well, this we got into some trouble with this last.
I'm not helping.
She's the
I am
Belgian
not
babe.
helping.
She is the Belgian babe. I know
babe.
she's the Belgian babe. It's okay. She doesn't listen to this.
Good thing.
Or she'll get to it in a month and then she'll hit me then. But no, yeah, the Belgian babe was there with me, and so we both, we went and we met the doctor there, and I just kept every few hours I'd call in and check in with family, say, hey, do you guys need me? Are you guys doing anything? Is anything happening? So that's why that year was like pretty much in. I think I wound up going along 8 and then going and meeting the family for dinner. And then the following year is interesting because, as you mentioned, the Dayton Golden Mile was inspired by your 17-year-old son. And the one I went on the full crawl was the first one he was old enough to participate.
Nice.
Yes.
Mm.
That was quite a day. And I should mention I have twins. Only one of them mentioned the idea, but they were both on there.
They certainly were. Yeah.
Full out. Yeah. For the entire crawl. It was
Wow.
something.
That's awesome.
And that was when I visited Branch and Bone, the
Yes,
one that you're drinking from there right now.
That would have been the first year they were on the crawl, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm empty.
Oh no,
I'm empty.
Hophead Huck, you're
dear.
empty. Does that mean it's time for a second pour?
It just might be.
It might be. Wow. I mean, here's the thing, Doctor. You bring only the best out of us. Clearly.
Thank you very much.
I know but it also, with that, it might be time to hear a little bit about, how the Doctor came to our interesting band.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt that. That's why I wanted to get pouring.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay. Well, we will get to that in just a moment. And I think the Doctor has another beer to get to as well.
Perfect.
So we'll have 2 more pours, and then we will get to the thing.
The thing.
That we will introduce in a moment.
I mean, would it be polite for Huck to go first this time? I feel like last time we really we were being very nice to our guests, but
he seems very ready. So
okay.
yeah.
This is the same company, Evil Twin NYC.
New York, yeah.
This is the Purple Rice Lager.
Ooh,
So-
fun. Is that rice? Is that a cup of rice on the?
Yeah,
on
it's a
the
picture
can
of a
art?
cup of rice. So the thing with this is that rice lagers are we talked about this last week. They're not exactly the most popular thing in beer culture because of the stigma of Budweiser, and even Stella Artois is a rice lager as well. But this should be good. I hope. Let's take a look. It's darker. It's coming out
much
of
darker than I would have anticipated.
It's coming out of the can purple. So I'm seeing.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So that's the rice.
Yeah,
It's a nice adjunct.
it's got a good.
Try to use that word more.
Kind of a purpley head too on it too.
I'm looking
yeah,
through it. It's got almost. It looks like a red or an amber ale or
Yeah.
amber lager. Yeah, it's a pretty one. Let me
It's
get
toasty. I like it.
get one for the cameras.
Scared.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
I like the.
Yeah.
I also like the flowers or tulips or whatever on the
That's great art.
the can art. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really.
I've seen this kind of reddish brown. It's a beautiful beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks.
I'm like, you're getting some blues and purples in your end.
It's not so much purple. I'm definitely getting more of a mahogany amber kind of
Okay,
color.
let's
It
go
is a
through
purple rice though, so that is the
Yeah.
that's what they're
Right.
calling it.
Very good.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting. It's hard. I need to
Mhm.
to internalize this a little. See what we got going. So please, doctor,
All right,
if you
so
would.
Yes, what do you have there, Doctor?
Oh, so this is from the Fifth Street Brewpub, my home pub. Fifth Street's a co-op, so it's actually correct for me to say I own it. So do about 3,000 other people.
I got you.
And out of a growler, correct?
Yes, a howler, if you will. This is
How-
the half size. This
Okay.
is the
That's
Scottish
the first time I've heard
Rain.
that name. I love that. I'm going to use that now. Howler.
Half growler, howler, yeah. So this is a bourbon barrel aged in Pappy Van Winkle barrels.
Oh my!
Oh my.
Scottish wee heavy, weighing in
wee
at
heavy.
just over 10. I think 10 and a half for the bourbon barrel aged variant on it, and appropriate as a lead in because my first brewing tradition to truly love was the UK. And a huge fan of the Scottish ales, and this is one of the best I've ever had.
Oh, that's great.
So I do say it as a partisan, but
Yeah, you don't see as many Scotch ales around, and when somebody
and
can make a good one, that's great news.
And a wee heavy is nice because you can't really hide behind the hops in that one. It's all about that malt.
right, yes.
Oh, I had a question.
Well, now
I
that.
love it.
Oh, yes. Your question.
Oh no, I was saying Pappy Van Winkle. There, I just saw a story about them. It's one of the most popular spirits
Most
in the
expensive.
country. Very
bourbons that exist,
expensive,
yeah.
and they've been doing it for years. And it's like people, you have to get on waiting lists to get the bottles,
Yes.
and it's a serious thing. And to use the barrels, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The barrels are cheaper
More of a
than
comment,
the
sorry.
bottles.
One would
I
hope.
can imagine.
I've actually had it. My wife's a huge bourbon fan, and we spent an undisclosed price on a glass just to say we've tried it.
Ooh.
It's quite good, but there's a breakover point, right, where it can't be that much better than things that are nearly that good and a
Correct.
third of the cost. So
Right. It's like I don't know. I can't quantifiably say how much better a 2,000 bottle of whiskey is than a $200 bottle of whiskey.
it's my perceptions are not that fine.
Yeah. But now that we're all have something in our glass, I think that perhaps it might be time for another
Origin story.
That's
Oh.
right. We've been talking all this time. We know very well. I know a few things, but those go back to high school theater when you and I had a lot in common, including that we were both good choices to play elderly Dutch Jews. But
Yeah.
that's another story altogether.
and the beard hasn't changed.
Very
a bit,
specific.
except this way, I actually own it now.
We were the best 17-year-olds to play elderly Dutch Jews.
Terrific.
I'll let that lie,
All right.
and instead get back into the origin story.
But I think before you tell your personal origin story, you
Yes.
wrote a wonderful little several sentence thing about the alter ego to your alter ego and what that origin story is.
Yes.
Oh, so I should actually I must consult my notes,
All
but I
right.
shall. So
It's a shame I don't have the underscoring.
fix it in post. I don't know. So, Dr. Bruce Biernerd is a native Daytonian, born while my father, Brian Biernerd, was stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, researching human performance-enhancing abilities of the alpha acids. Bruce inherited both his father's intellect and his skepticism, unbeknownst to either of them, a genetic alteration caused by the alpha acids. During his postdoc work in Zymergy, Bruce was accidentally exposed to massive doses of gamma-cannadine rays, Rather than killing him, they reacted with the latent alpha genes, setting off his first slow transformation into the Incredulous Bulk. As the Bulk, Dr. Biernerd is granted superhuman powers of pedantry and capacity for alcohol consumption, often becoming more articulate in direct proportion to his intoxication. He cannot control the transformation. It is triggered when he becomes thirsty. Moose tries to keep his alter ego under control in secret, and as a result must often walk away slowly down a lonely road while sad music plays.
There we go.
I'm walking away. You can't see this on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm slowly walking.
I just have to say that was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Thank you
Yeah.
very
Like
much.
I had some feelings over here in my undisclosed location in the County of Kings. That was truly beautiful.
Now, when you sent me that, I immediately told you that I had I had, even before you sent me that, I was thinking that like your catchphrase would be something along the line of, don't make him thirsty. You wouldn't like him when he's thirsty. And then we all had there's addendum to that because we actually do like him when he's thirsty. So we traded back a few different ones, and then the one I settled on was you wouldn't like him if he's thirsty, unless you're a Beervenger.
Very nice. Yes. Unless you want to hear lots of beer stories.
Yeah, and I do. I want to hear yours.
Then you would like me when I'm thirsty.
Yes.
So I can claim to have always liked beer, at least from my earliest memories. Neither of my parents are big drinkers, especially not my father, who, despite his size, is an amazing lightweight. So, two drinks and he's out. But my grandfathers were both regular beer drinkers, and my father's father, when he'd come to visit, was always a bit of an occasion. So he'd have a can of Miller High Life, and I would get a Dixie cup. You remember the Dixie cups?
Yes.
Just a little taste, just to share.
Right.
Now, this is a big positive association, but even at a very young age, 5, 6 years old, I very much liked the flavor. I'm always just loved the taste of malt. And the hop bitterness that turns off a lot of kids, this kind of blew right by me. So oddly enough, for all that, wasn't a big drinker in the teen clandestine drinking years. I think of my high school companions, I was the biggest drunk because I would have one or two sometimes. Though in college, definitely looking older than I was. If we're going to a bar for a opening night party or similar, sure. But it wasn't a whole huge thing. And then
you share the thing that I do growing up there and being about the same age, where there was a point between 19 and 21 where you were grandfathered into old laws.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And as a result, I was able, when I found at a now defunct department store that had a fancy foods section.
Name it. Which one?
It was Reich's.
Oh, Reich's. Okay.
On the mezzanine, they had their fancy and import foods, and occasionally they'd have wines, and then beers. And I'd never seen a beer like this before. It was from England, and it came in a bit more than a pint bottle, which I thought was a black bottle. And then I poured it and realized it was a clear bottle. It was Sam Smith's Imperial Stout.
Wow.
And I said, okay, I knew that I liked beer, but I love this. I love this. Because it's very malt forward. All the notes that still really attract me. Just a classic. And so I said, where do people make beer like this? In the UK. So I'll try everything Sam Smith made. Where can I find it? And started finding other import stores and the 2 beer bars in Dayton that were big imports, because this is before we have a craft scene. So right. It's an import scene, yeah. Right? So, just hanging out there and going to places like one, which is walking distance from my house. I like to say that we didn't move here because it was walking distance from Tanks, but we did talk about it when we bought the house. So they have the card, one fills out, you get 100 different beers and you get a shirt, and I have too many of those shirts. I have too many of those shirts. It was a never ending, fascination, because there's such a range of flavors Like, even if you're Reinheitsgebot pure, even if you're
Mm.
just the three ingredients, if you've got the right blend of the yeasts and the malt and the hop, I mean, you can do things like Flemish sours, where you've got all these fruit flavors and there's no fruit in it.
Right.
It's just a wonderful way to explore. And then we hit the craft brew revolution, and I actually stopped home brewing briefly when my kids were born, because it's just an enormous pain with toddlers in the house. And by the time I thought, yeah, they're big enough that we can safely do it, there was no reason to pick it up again, because it was so easy for me to get what I wanted in such a wide variety.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking like 10 years ago or so? Or more like
more
6
than
to 7? More than 10?
More than 10 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
So that's, let's see, they would have been, call it like 2006 or 2007.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty much easy. I remember the first brew pub in this area was opening in a year after it became legal. Did you ever, it was called Growlers. And it was just outside the city of Dayton, because the city still had a small ordinance. But there were, this region picked up sputteringly. There were 2 or 3, including that one, Growlers, that tried and failed. And then we just really established pretty firmly. My glass, which is from the last venue, not used to, there we go. My glass, which is from the last venue of the Golden Mile, says Dayton loves beer, and I think we pretty much mean it. It's
Is that the Barrel Room?
the Barrel House, yes.
Barrel House.
This is the 2020 commemorative glass. All of the quotations on the glass, which there'll be no way one can read from here, are negative reviews reacting to their policy of requiring masking inside.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
So it's all the invective hurled at them, which they printed up on a commemorative
Good
glass.
for them.
So
Now, can I
They're
ask
great-
you,
great people there.
both of you, what is the classic? Is there a classic Ohio beer like Narragansett, or would be in Rhode Island, or like we talked about Peels a couple weeks ago from New York? Is there a classic, that working man's lager in Ohio?
There's more than one.
Yeah.
But from the southwest Ohio, where we are, Dayton's breweries went defunct long before Cincinnati's. Cincinnati is an old German stronghold.
Right.
So the brewing tradition kept on there. Goebel, or sometimes pronounced Jobel.
Okay.
Little King's Cream Ale.
I remember that one, yeah.
Wow.
Little King's, I think, would be the classic. Like this, you run like only in Cincinnati. You got to do
Little Kings.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, the funny thing is, you're definitely more of in a place to say that, because I did talk about the brief part of my drinking life that was in Dayton, but not much beyond the like what's cheap and what can get me fucked up, because aside from I mentioned the Killian's Red, but I want to talk a little about when I mentioned the Dutch elderly Jew thing. See, what happened was there was a thing when we were both 17, and there was an all-teen production of The Diary of Anne Frank.
I figured.
And we were both asked to play. Well, you wound up playing it, but who was it? Was the character
Schneider? Mr.
No, I
Schneider?
don't think that's his name. It's that Mr. Van Damme. Right?
Yes.
It's the one that the Maytag guy, which I'm blanking on his name. He played him in the movie.
Okay.
He was also in the movie Avalon. He was like, "You got the turkey without me." I can't think of his name.
The non-family member who is hiding with them.
Right.
Terminal nicotine addict.
And he's there with his wife,
Yeah.
but so it was just, and I didn't really get to know you that well, but it was, I went to see that show, and then about a year later, we got a little less than a year later, we got cast in a production of Fiddler on the Roof, and then we were in college together, so that's how we became good friends. But we didn't really drink beer much together at the time.
No, not. I think maybe once or twice. I recall I think a birthday event you'd had with you and I and maybe one or two other people.
Yeah,
that's partly beer.
That rings a vague bell, but mostly it was like, so I left town, and you and I lost touch because that's what happened in the 80s and 90s.
Yes, exactly.
It used to be to any kids who are listening out there, anyone who grew up with the internet, before the internet happened, if you moved away, you lost touch with people all the time.
Yeah, you had to do a lot of work to not.
Yes, and usually you might try and do some of the work at first, but eventually it would become too much work, and so I had like no idea of what your life was until Facebook, and we found each other again in 2008 or 9, I think, and it was a few years after that I was home visiting Dayton, and I said, it looks like stuff is happening, and it turns out you were into that as well. And I said, go, well, show me the Dayton beer scene. That's how we kind of started reconnecting. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. There's an element of my backstory which we didn't get into that actually involves the Dayton beer scene, which I wanted to ask you about, Doctor. In my early days of Beervengering, before I really was hooked up with this wonderful crew, I spent some time in Dayton, regularly in the Oregon District, and whenever I'd come through for professional reasons, I always
we need to say what that professional. You were touring in children's theater.
I was touring in children's theater. Yes, let's say that. I'm not a prostitute. That said, within weeks of graduating from college, I was staying for another professional purpose that was not prostitution. I was staying at the Crown Plaza that is downtown in Dayton. Formerly downtown.
Weren't you guys performing at Memorial Hall?
Yeah, Memorial Hall. We were all in that area, but a regular stop for me, and one of the things I always looked forward to, because I came through like at least once a year, was Blind Bob's.
Yes.
Yeah. How are they? It's been a bit.
They're doing okay.
Okay.
I've ordered from them a couple times, even during pandemic. They're doing decent carry out. That's my preferred karaoke location, incidentally.
Really?
They've got the stage there,
Mm-hmm.
and so it sets up a little nicer than most, and it attracts a very good karaoke crowd. In that some people are actually so good that you want to hear them sing, but that doesn't block out the people who are so bad that you just kind of enjoy the fact that they're willing. Anyway, the bars, they're doing okay for being a bar. They've signed on. Dayton has a company called 937 Delivers, which is a delivery organization, but it is a co-op. So they share revenue amongst themselves and the venues, the restaurants. So
937 is the local area code there.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Blind Bob's is a member of that, and that has picked them up a little bit. So a good way for people not going out. They also have a patio, which you may recall, actually, a very nice patio. So
I was
the
always
weather
there
is
in
not awful.
I was always there in like December, so it was never a good time to go hang out on the patio. But it's actually a very fond memory of mine. So I'm glad to hear that they're doing okay.
Yeah, it's really I don't know if you kept. There's been a lot of. It's been a bit of a run for the Oregon District. There's a mass shooting there.
Right.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Tornado that did not hit the Oregon District, but affected a lot of patronage in Dayton. This mostly hit the north side, and then we've kind of rolled on into a pandemic, and there's always the kind of Rust Belt industry leaving,
right,
and struggling to keep people around. But they are Blind Bob's and the other businesses in the district really. They stick together, they pull together, and they're hanging on.
That's good to hear. Yeah.
Excellent.
So the name of the Maytag repairman actor?
Lou Jacoby.
Jacoby?
Is it Lou Jacoby?
It's not. It's Jesse White. Jesse White.
I think the guy I'm thinking about is Lou Jacoby.
Okay, well, you said
they went through a bunch
repairman.
of them. No, they went through a bunch of them. I recognize that guy, but I think Lou Jacoby did it for. Well, actually, Lou Jacoby also was he was the time to make the donuts guy for a while.
Oh, I seated him once. I was an usher at the Williamstown Theater Festival.
And I think they went through a bunch of them. I think Gordon Jump played him for a while.
Gordon Jump did play him. You're right.
Yeah. But the guy I was thinking was Lou Jacoby. He's got is a sort of portly guy with a mustache.
Yeah. Time to make the donuts.
Time to make the donuts. Yeah.
I got to audition for the new Maytag repairman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
No.
You've seen the guy.
You mean they're doing it now?
Oh yeah, but this was like 7-8 years ago.
It's a missed opportunity, Huck. I mean,
It was a missed opportunity. No, it's a missed opportunity for Maytag.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
They could have had the Huckster.
They could have had the Huckster. You've got a beer connection. Maytag has a beer connection. Like I
got these Maytag appliances in my house. They always need repairing.
See, I'm just saying.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go on record right now and say, "Fuck you, Maytag." There, I said
Fuck you, Maytag. That's our general message from the Beervengers.
It's our new hashtag.
I gotta say,
that's the way to bring in.
Fuck you, Maytag hashtag.
This purple rice lager is amazing. It's so unique. I've never had anything like it. I can't even identify the flavors. It's so strange. And at the same time, smooth, easy drinking. I'm glad I got a few more of these. This is great.
What are you getting in the anything in the aroma that you can identify? Have we got a spice or a fruit?
I don't know. There is a spiciness, almost like Indian spices. Yeah. Very good. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. Like a basmati almost.
Yeah, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's wild. It's really good. And there is a fruity flavor to it. It's also aged on a foeder, Saaz and tradition hops. But it's that purple rice. It's just gives it such a different vibe. I've never had anything like it. It's great.
Excellent.
Good for Evil Twin.
I'm about to introduce I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm also getting thirsty because I'm empty.
Oh, please.
And so
of course.
That might have made me rude. I apologize.
Not at all. I was the rude one.
But then I paused a little bit because I heard a siren out there, and
I think that was on my end.
My ride's here joke. Oh, it was yours? Okay.
I thought it was here.
That's how great these.
That's how good this microphone is.
Yeah.
You might have heard barking dogs earlier.
For my second pour, I'm thinking a combination of what we were talking about last week's show about how I'm determined to all the beers that I've been saving up, the good beers, a lot of that I got from Tavor that I'm saving up. So they've been there for a while, and also we talked a little bit about cellarable beers last week.
Yeah.
And I introduced this next segment not to indicate that I'm very good at cellaring. I actually did a little bit of research today, and I just don't have it. I read somewhere that cellaring them in a refrigerator is bad, but then they should also stay at 50 degrees. And there's no way that my apartment on the top floor could be 50 degrees for like a long period of time. So the refrigerator is going to be fine for me for that for now. But this is a new segment I want to call the Captain's Cellar.
Ooh.
We don't have to have a theme song.
Anybody else have the impulse to just go, aye, the Captain's Cellar?
And this particular Captain's Cellar, this is one I've been cellaring, meaning it's been in my refrigerator.
There were air quotes there, just FYI. There were air quotes.
Yes, there were air quotes. This has been in my refrigerator since October. And in honor of our guest, who will probably be able to tell me more about this brewery than I know about this brewery, is from Listermann's in Cincinnati.
Oh
and it's from the Triple Digit series. It's the Chicow Espresso.
Yeah, that's a beauty. That is a beauty.
Now this is if there's ever an Imperial Brown, this is an Imperial Brown, but this calls it a double brown. It's a double brown ale brewed with hazelnuts and coffee, and it's got a 10.5% ABV. And I'm going to open it right now.
Is this your first time with the Chicow?
It is.
All right. It's a moment of silence, and can't do that on a podcast.
I think I might have paid like $11 for this one in their case, but
we could do the moment of silence. We'll just edit it out.
Yeah, okay. But this is so beautiful. Like, there's almost no head on this beer.
That's right.
It's
coming up now.
There. Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Like and also and it's a very simple, very like modernist bottle art, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Down the hatch.
Oh, and the lacing on the glass. Sorry, got excited.
No, it is. It's like it's sweeter than I thought it would be. But I definitely taste the hazelnut right up front. It's it's almost like it's a hazelnut liqueur. And the coffee is very subtle, and it's very much a brown, and it's a good beer.
Listermann does the nut flavors incredibly well. It's a tricky thing to handle, and I think they've really got it nailed.
Now they've been around since 2008, right?
Yes, as a brewery. Although Phil Listermann, the founder, is kind of local legend for creating home brewing apparatus. I still have a Phil's Filler, which is the little brass thing that you stick on the end of a tube to fill bottles that would have a stopper, so when you would stop filling when you lifted off pressure. So you'd fill the bottle from the bottom properly when you're homebrewing into reusable glass bottles.
Excellent.
All right, here we go. Well, Captain Porter will get the stout tonight and drink it with his special island friends.
That's remarkable.
I was not
That was
prepared to
beautiful,
do that.
actually. I'm
Yes,
honestly
That's all right.
single tier.
Honored to have been here.
As I was doing it, I'm like, we don't have copyright on this.
No, we don't. It's okay. You only got like
was
seven
that
chords.
that based on an actual song?
Billy Joel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Which one?
Captain Jack.
Captain Jack.
Oh, Captain Jack. Oh, it's like a
Captain
Elton
Jack
John?
will get you high tonight. Take you to your special island.
Okay, you made it sound better. I think.
Thank you.
Billy Joel, yeah.
Oh, Billy Joel. Okay.
Of course,
did I
you
say, Billy
realize
Idol?
that means this. No, you said Billy Joel. The captain said Elton John, which is
Yeah.
Elton
they're
John.
different piano players.
Yeah, they
Although we have to
did it.
recognize that the special island is Long Island in his case.
That's
So,
correct.
it's special, but is it nice special? I don't know.
Oh,
It depends where you
some
are.
of the lyrics to that
Yes.
song are ridiculous, but
Yeah, I do enjoy my Billy Joel, but there are definitely moments.
Oh,
like,
me too,
"Ooh,
me
that
too."
did not
Yeah.
age well. That did not age.
that's
well.
right.
I like him when he covers Leonard Cohen.
You would, Captain. That seems appropriate for you.
No, the song is called "Light as the Breeze."
Oh,
I have not heard this. So,
Oh,
Where it's
yeah,
like
no,
so,
no,
like
no,
Leonard
no,
Cohen's version is like, and now we're getting more copyrighted stuff here. But like Leonard Cohen's is, she stands before you naked, you can see it and you can taste it, and she comes to you light as the breeze. But with Billy Joel, it's more like, well, she stands before you naked, you can see it and you can taste it. Yeah, so
great, good stuff.
and it's got kind of a gospel-y
Good stuff this
flavor
week,
to it.
gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah.
Really good.
I sense a Beervengers karaoke night, which is probably a
Blind Bobs, please.
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But hey, that's easy for me. If you guys want to come here, I'm thrilled to host.
I mean,
When?
I'm committed to the bit, and that said, I've met so many people, so many Ohio beer drinkers in professional and personal life that it feels like a Beervengers adventure in Ohio might be warranted.
When we can travel to indoor locations again, to
Yes.
be sure.
Yeah, that does make a difference. You really want to be able to go indoors.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing that. We'll do it for sure.
Soon, we hope.
So I'm curious. I know it's only been 6 days technically, even though you're hearing us after 1 week. It was 6 days. How is everyone's year in beer going so far? Which is today, January 6th. Even though you people out there won't be hearing this until at least January 11th.
Well, I got my evil
of course
twin shipped to my house
Yeah.
in 2 days, so that was pretty
That's
fantastic.
pretty fucking great. Yeah.
I think we should try and get Yeppe on here, and I have I'm going to make a delivery to you guys this weekend, and maybe we could do a
Cool.
theme show with a particular beer. So,
Yes, we can go. We can all shiver in the park 6 feet apart.
no, this is on air. I mean, on the
Oh, on air. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there, nice.
I'm just talking about if we're
Podcast.
distributing to each other. It might be nice to hang out long enough to actually have a beer, but that would be outdoors in a park.
And I thought you were doing
Bundled
another Leonard Cohen song with the "Shiver in the Park." I could kind of, I didn't know it, but I could see
shiver
it
in the
going that direction.
park.
Yeah.
We're gonna drink a beer that's dark. Hey, the start of a song there.
I am
Yeah,
ready. I'm
yeah.
ready for it. It's the new Beervengers, the new hit single of 2021.
It's the closing theme over the
Yeah.
credits.
Yes, it's the pandemic dark beer drinking song.
Can we get Peebo Bryson?
Now, what are you saying, Captain? You have something happened this year so far, or
oh man, I guess I don't. I just said that because that's what we always do at the end of an
Yeah.
episode. Is when we're nearing the end, we talk about
the weekend
whatever
beer?
fuck we want to talk about, but sometimes that's the weekend beer, and sometimes it's just us riffing on Billy Joel and Leonard Cohen.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's
Well,
it's
check
when you're
with
2
the-
to 3 beers in.
Check
well,
with the
I
beat.
got him. I will.
Yes.
The BW with the B Dubs, yeah. I
Please.
had a kind of a fun little thing that happened for me this week. So at the end of the year, I talk about beer. drink beer. Sometimes people pay me to talk about beer and drink beer together. Sometimes I just drink beer and talk about beer with you guys. And honestly, it's always good. But I decided that I would get myself a little present for the end of the year. And so I picked up the Oxford Dictionary of Beer by our buddy Garrett Oliver. And I have been using that as my evening meditation and reading his just beautiful descriptions of all of the styles that we love. And
No
I want to
kidding.
give it's one of those things where it soothes your soul to hear someone talk so eloquently about these flavors that we enjoy and that we talk about. It's this thick. It is the Oxford Dictionary of Beer. But for those of you who might be on a beer journey of your own, if you want some more better beer words in your life, or literally just want to bathe your soul in the language of beer, can't recommend it highly enough. It's been
that's
a really fun
fantastic.
way to start off my year.
Wow.
So
Excellent.
Yeah, now I want to get that. Yeah.
it's all right.
Notice
It's all right,
I'm-
Huck. I'll share with you.
Well,
Thanks.
I think it's been great to have Dr. Biernerd with us today.
Yes.
Thanks
Dr.
very
Bruce
much for
Biernerd.
having me. It's been wonderful.
And I also want to, as always, thank our sponsor, Story of Beer and Cheese, 3511 Ditmars. This Bennington's. I just got this pretty recently. If you're lucky and you go there, we'll still have some of this there. It's I don't know how much they're charging for it, but it's worth it. It's fantastic. Also, I guess follow us on the various social medias.
Oh, yeah.
We're listed at the Beervengers on all the major things. That's on Facebook. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram.
Mhm.
You can find what was there? Was there another one? Or you? Oh, all right.
Huck's just counting. Huck likes to count.
Well, counting is it's good. Especially a couple beers in, it's good to remind yourself of your counting skills.
Well, and Captain, I hear that new year, new you, 2021. We might have a new internet presence if they want to find all the great information about the Beervengers.
Well, yes, it's been there for a few weeks, but it is at thebeervengers.com.
Hello.
Excuse me. If you go to thebeervengers.com, you can find you can stream all of our episodes there directly. You can see pour picks from every show, including a few where we might have let our faces show.
Ooh.
You can find all of our blog posts going back to some of, since this is very relevant because we talked so much about crawls this episode, where there was a lot of crawling chronicled right there in the blog. And I think before we and also I keep being told that one of the things to make people aware of this is if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, rate us and review us, because apparently that's one of the ways other people find us, so we can all be more Beervengers and increase our wonderful Beervenger community. And I think before we get everyone, just hold your beer up in front of your face so we can toast to everyone and have a wonderful. There we go. All right, cheers,
Cheers.
Beervengers.
Cheers.
All right. Yeah, once again, I know it's been said already, but it can't be said enough. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. We had you are our first official regional Beervenger, and we look forward to having more. To be fair, I don't want to give short shrift to Trip Hellman because he gave us a lot of wonderful tips about the Philadelphia scene, but Dayton is like another world compared to Philadelphia from here. That's the remarkable thing about, you talked about all the breweries there, and I've seen so few of them here. In fact, I've seen some Ohio ones, but I haven't seen any of the ones that specifically Dayton. So it's good to reconnect with that. And with that, thank you all, Beervengers.
Well, I have one thing to add in regards to Dr. Biernerd. Come back anytime.
Yes,
It would
absolutely.
be a thrill, of course. Yeah, whenever you got an open slot, I have more beers. I have more stories.
You're not only a wonderful guest, you're a wonderful fan. And I am going to mention this. Ohio, although it's a little distant second, but there's a bit of a distance between second and third. Ohio, I don't think it's entirely you and my father. You are second biggest source of downloads. So
next to New York,
and it goes both ways. This weekend, I was inspired to have my first single cut beer. It was the first time I've seen it on the shelf at a place called BG's Minute Market in Kettering, Ohio, which the captain will know. The
I don't
city,
know that
if not the sales venue.
Yeah.
They used to be a nothing carry out, and they kind of really stepped up their beer game. But I have still have 3 Eric Moore Cowbell.
Oh, hello.
love that
Lovely,
one, yeah.
lovely beer.
Great beer.
Lovely beer.
Beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
Great
and
beer.
I wouldn't have known to look for it had it not been for the podcast.
Oh, good.
I had no idea Single Cut had expanded their footprint.
Cowbell.
That's good to know.
That's certainly the first milk stout that I was like, okay, that's good. That's like, oh, wow, that's what a milk stout is. That's a great beer. Yeah, that's a good one to be introduced to Single Cut on for sure. Oh, okay.
All right.
Here we go.
I guess, yeah. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, go ahead. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you
Yes.
next week.
Woohoo.
Play us out, Huck.
All right. Well, with a Beervengers, Beervengers,